Madden here. Let's talk about principle number 7, overcommunicate. This is one of our 12 power principles of leadership from 1% Warrior Leadership, available on Amazon on my website, coachajmadden.com. Let's jump into overcommunication. And overcommunication is a style of communication that I describe in 3 parts: simplicity, repetition, and conviction. Simplicity, repetition, and conviction. Over-communication is the opposite, unfortunately, of how most leaders communicate. Many leaders communicate in a way that is complex. They say it once and expect it to stick with their team members, and they lack conviction in their message. Unfortunately, this is the way many leaders communicate. They don't have any of the 3 things that we need to over-communicate and actually make a message stick, to positively persuade our team members to do good things for themselves, for their team, and for their organization. So let's talk about each one of these in terms of over-communication. The first one being simplicity, and that is making the message as simple as possible. If you're talking about a mission statement, for example, for an organization, many times I see these long, complicated, 1-page or multiple paragraph mission statements for an organization that nobody reads. Maybe it's read once and it's just completely forgotten because it's too long. We're bombarded by information every day, throughout the day, continuously. The last thing we need, if we want something to stick, is something that's long and complicated. So I challenge organizations to come up with a 1-sentence mission statement. And you can see multi-billion-dollar corporations, even a trillion-dollar corporation, being built on a 1-sentence mission statement. The mission is very clear. It's very simple. You don't need a whole page to say it. And it sticks when it's short. It's memorable. It's punchy. Masters make the complex simple. Anybody can make something that's simple complex. Anyone can do that. They can take a simple thing and make it complex. It takes a master to make the complex simple. And that's how we want to think about everything in our organization, not just our communication, not just our 1-sentence mission statement, but everything. We want to continuously look to simplify and narrow in on the vital message, or the vital functions, the vital habits, activities, and mindsets that will allow us to achieve high-level success and happiness within the organization. Here's a quote from Heath: "Simple ideas stick, complicated ones don't." So always look to simplify. When you're trying to get a message across, keep it simple. Our second part is repetition. People need to see, hear something 7 to 21 times before it starts to stick, depending on which study, which expert you're listening to. 7 to 21 times. And I believe it also applies to the individual who's listening, the message itself, how many times someone has to hear something for it to stick. I have a few mantras that I've used with myself and people I coach and work with over the years. When you get sick of saying something as a leader, that's when it starts to stick. When you get sick of saying something, that's when it just begins to stick with your team members. The second one is when your team members get sick of hearing something from you as a leader, that's when it begins to stick. When they get sick of hearing something from you, that's when it begins to stick with them. Over and over again, you have to have that discipline and patience to repeat things. It could be saying the same thing, the same message, the same values, the same mantra, the same mission statement, the same standards of the organization. In a meeting, in one-on-one conversations, in emails, in quarterly meetings, on a poster on the wall, on how people are bonused if they're living this value. Their actual bonus or incentives are tied to that value. That's over communication. That's that repetition that people need to have something sink in. So often, high achievers, they think, if I say it once or twice at the most, it's going to stick. And false. For the most part, false. And it has nothing to do with the intelligence of the receiver, the listener, why it doesn't stick. And it has everything to do with the fact that we're bombarded with messages and noise all day, every day. That's why things don't stick. And oftentimes employees and team members are conditioned to a flavor of the week mentality where they hear something different every week because the leader or manager read a new business book or leadership book, or listen to a new podcast and said, oh, we're doing this week, and we're okay. You do it for a week, and oh, I heard this, so we're going to do this next week. And that's why many times team members just tune out new initiatives, because they know that it's a flavor of the week. It's going to last until the leader gets bored and they're on to the next idea or initiative. Fortunately, it happens. We need discipline to keep things simple and stick to things. Once we make a decision, to stay there. When new information is available, change our minds, but always look to simplify and narrow it down to the most important things and really just focus on those over and over again. Here's a quote from John Stevens. The rule of 7 is a marketing principle that states that your prospects need to come across your offer at least 7 times before they really notice it and start to take action. That's the rule of 7 in marketing. Our third key pillar of our overcommunication is conviction. And here's a quote from Robert J. Ringer. It's not what you say or do that counts, but what your posture is when you say or do it. Our definition of conviction here is 100% commitment and belief in the message. And Dr. Ringer, Robert Ringer, he talks about how it's your posture. In our terms, in our leadership philosophy, the 1% Warrior leadership philosophy, posture is mental, emotional, and physical. A mental posture is 100% belief and conviction in the message, and also the people you're delivering it to. The physical posture is stand up straight and make your body, if you believe it mentally, your body will line up with that message. The emotional posture is your tone of voice, your tonality. That is where, in the 1% Warrior philosophy, that emotional posture comes out. Are you saying things with emotional conviction? And does that translate through your vocal tonality? Absolutely crucial. There was a study a long time ago that 93% of communication is tonality and body language. Now, that study's been questioned and hasn't been replicated, I'm not sure. But the spirit, and metaphorically speaking, I believe that study is accurate in my personal subjective experience. When I see leaders who have strong body language when they're delivering a message, they have strong vocal tonality and they speak with conviction in their tonality, they are much more effective. They're just much more effective because we've evolved. Words have only evolved in recent history for us, the actual words and language, but the tonality and the body language far precedes our words and our language. And that's why I believe most of the communication is through the tonality and the body language. Maybe it was grunts with cavemen. That's what we resonate with. It's there's a saying we've all probably heard, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. To me, one of the ways how you say it is, do you say it with conviction and tonality? If you found this video useful, please click like and subscribe. If you found it helpful, please share it with someone that you believe will also find it helpful. I wish everyone success and happiness. And if you'd like to upgrade your leadership, whether you're a beginner or a seasoned leader or manager, pick yourself up a copy of 1% Warrior Leadership. This is 20 years plus of leadership experience and practice and study, all distilled down into one book. It's the book I wish I would have had 20 years ago plus when I started my leadership journey. And I know you'll find something useful in here. I challenge you to overcommunicate with simplicity, repetition, and conviction, and do it over and over and over again.